The universe has a twisted sense of humor. You know that moment when you're minding your own business, doing your job, and suddenly you find yourself engaged to the most powerful being in three-star systems? No, just me? Fantastic that my name is Dax Forrester, Xenolinguistics specialist aboard the Alliance vessel Horizon Dawn. I'm the idiot who accidentally proposed marriage to Queen Tharissa of the Zenthian Empire. Let me explain how spectacularly I ruined interstellar relations in less than 5 minutes. Ambassador Forrester? The Queen will see you now, announced a tall, slender Zenthian with skin that shimmered like polished obsidian in the violet light of their palace. I straightened my uniform and tried to calm my racing heart. Thank you. And please, I'm not an ambassador, just a linguist. The Zenthian tilted their head, for eyes blinking in sequence. You speak for your people to our queen. That is an ambassador by our definition. Great. No pressure or anything. Follow me, they said, gliding forward with that eerie, floating movement all Zenthians possess that I trail behind, taking in the splendor of the Zenthian royal palace. Carved from a single massive asteroid, the entire structure seemed to defy gravity. Spiraling columns of luminescent minerals stretched toward vaulted ceilings that disappeared into darkness. Water flowed upward in defiance of physics, creating flowing curtains that somehow never spilled. Remember, whispered Captain Riggs through my earpiece, this is just a formality. Stick to the script we practiced. The treaty's already approved by their council. The Queen just needs to hear the formal declaration of friendship. Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one about to address the ruler of a species that could tear a human apart with their bare hands if offended. The throne room doors opened without a sound, revealing a chamber that made my jaw drop despite my professional training. The ceiling was a perfect recreation of space. Not a projection, but somehow actual space contained within the room. Stars burned and nebulae swirled overhead. The floor beneath my feet was transparent, revealing an endless ocean teeming with bioluminescent creatures. And there, on a throne that seemed to be carved from liquid mercury, sat Queen Tharissa of the Zenthian Empire. Let me clarify something about Zenthians. Despite what Alliance propaganda might have you believe, they are not giant insectoids. They are humanoid, with the same basic body plan as humans, just enhanced. 7 feet tall on average, with skin in shades of blue and purple that seems to shift and change with their moods. For eyes, 2 large primary ones and 2 smaller ones above them. And they are beautiful in that terrifying, could-eat-your-face-off kind of way. Queen Tharissa, however, was something else entirely. 9 feet tall at least, with skin that rippled like the night sky. Her 4 eyes glowed with an internal light that seemed to pierce straight through me. A crown of living crystal hovered above her head, never touching but always present that I was so screwed. Ambassador Forrester of the Terran Alliance, announced the attendant, here to present the Treaty of Mutual Assistance and Friendship. I bowed deeply as instructed. Your Majesty, it is my honor to stand before you. The Queen's primary eyes narrowed slightly. Rise, Ambassador. Let us hear the words of your people. This was it, the moment I'd been preparing for. Months of studying Zenthian customs, weeks of rehearsing the traditional greeting. I took a deep breath and began. Great Queen Tharissa, sovereign of the Zenthian Empire, protector of the 7 stars, voice of the Ancient Ones. I began carefully enunciating each syllable of their complex language. The Terran Alliance extends a hand of friendship across the void between our worlds. So far, so good. The Queen's attendants murmured appreciatively at my pronunciation. We offer trade of knowledge and resources. We offer protection in times of conflict. We offer, and that's when it all went wrong. There are 2 words in Zenthian that sound nearly identical to human ears. Nalthora, meaning alliance, and Nalthora, meaning eternal bonding of souls and bodies. Can you guess which one I used? We offer ourselves an eternal bonding of souls and bodies, joining our houses forever in the eyes of the Ancient Ones. The throne room went silent, completely, utterly silent. Even the strange creatures in the ocean below seemed to freeze. Through my earpiece, I heard Captain Riggs whisper, "What the hell did you just say?" The Queen's secondary eyes widened, then narrowed. Her primary eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. "You offer marriage? To me? From your alliance?" Her voice was like velvet over steel that, oh gods. "Oh no, 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 no." I started, frantically trying to think of a diplomatic way to say I just made the biggest linguistic blunder in human history. But before I could correct myself, the Queen rose from her throne in one fluid motion. The court collectively gasped and dropped to their knees. I stood frozen, wondering if this was how I died. "After 3 centuries of isolation, the stars align," she said, her voice resonating through the chamber. "The prophecy foretold an outsider would come with an offer of union. I accept your proposal, Ambassador Forrester. Our houses shall be joined." "Wait, what?" "Your Majesty," I stammered. "There's been a misunderstanding." "Silence," roared a voice behind me. The Prime Minister of the Xinthian Empire stepped forward, his face contorted with rage. "This is sacrilege. The Queen cannot marry an outsider." Queen Tharissa's skin darkened to a midnight blue. "You question my authority, Prime Minister Kalrax?" "I question nothing, my queen," he said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "But the ancient laws are clear. A union with a species not blessed by the ancestors cannot be sanctioned." The Queen's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture I recognized as their equivalent of a dismissive eye roll. "The ancient laws speak of union with those not of the stars. The humans are very much of the stars, as their presence here attests. This is not what was agreed upon with the council," hissed Kalrax. "Plans change," said the Queen with finality. She turned to me. "Ambassador Forrester, you will remain in the palace as my betrothed. We have much to discuss." In my ear, Captain Riggs was having a meltdown. "Forrester, what the hell is happening? Did she just accept a proposal? Did you propose to the Queen?" "It appears I did, sir," I muttered through clenched teeth, trying to maintain a diplomatic smile. "Fix it. Now. Working on it, sir." The Prime Minister stormed out, followed by several members of the court. The remaining attendants approached me with expressions of curiosity and, was that pity? "Come, Ambassador," said the Queen, extending a hand with long, elegant fingers. "Let us speak privately about our arrangement." I followed her through a hidden doorway, into a chamber that seemed designed to mimic a Terran garden. Actual trees from Earth grew in spiraling patterns, their branches intertwining to form living sculptures. A small stream bubbled over rocks, forming a natural bench where the Queen gracefully settled. "Sit," she commanded, patting the stone beside her. I sat, keeping a respectful distance. "Your Majesty, about what just happened, you may call me Tharissa when we are alone," she interrupted. "And yes, I know you misspoke." I blinked. "You know," her lips curved into what might have been a smile. "Ambassador, I have studied 17 Terran languages. I recognize your mistake immediately." Relief flooded through me. "Then why did you accept?" "Politics," she said simply. "My position as Queen is not as secure as it appears. The Prime Minister and his faction have been gaining influence, pushing for isolation and military buildup. They see humans as a threat to be eliminated, not allies to be embraced. And our engagement helps how exactly?" She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The ancient prophecies hold tremendous sway among my people. By accepting your accidental proposal, I have invoked religious protection. While you are my betrothed, neither you nor any human can be harmed by Xinthian hands. So this is a political move," I said slowly, understanding dawning. "For now," she agreed. "Though I find your species intriguing." Was a 9-foot alien queen flirting with me? This day couldn't get any stranger. "How long do we need to maintain this charade?" I asked. "Until the treaty is fully ratified and implemented," she said. 3 Xinthian months. What you would call 90 Earth days. I did the math quickly. 3 months pretending to be engaged to the alien queen. 3 months living in the palace, away from my ship, my crew, my life. And if I refuse? Her expression darkened. "Then I cannot guarantee the safety of your vessel or crew." The Prime Minister would have justification to declare your presence an act of aggression. Great. So I was trapped in an engagement with an alien queen to prevent an interstellar incident. My mother always said my mouth would get me into trouble someday, but I don't think even she could have predicted this. I will need to inform my captain, I said. Of course. Tharissa nodded. Your communication devices are permitted, though I would ask you not to share sensitive details of our arrangement. The palace has ears everywhere. As if on cue, a small creature resembling a cross between a lizard and a butterfly fluttered down from a nearby tree, landing on her outstretched hand. Its wings pulsed with soft light as it chirped softly. This is a Luminera, she explained. They serve as my eyes and ears throughout the palace. This one will be assigned to you to ensure your safety and to monitor you, if we're being honest. The tiny creature hopped from her hand to my shoulder, its warmth surprisingly comforting against my neck. Does it have a name? I asked. Xinthians do not name animals, she replied with something like amusement. But you may if you wish. I studied the little creature, with its iridescent wings and curious eyes. I will call you Spark. Spark chirped happily, wings fluttering. A good omen, said Tharissa. He approves. My communication device buzzed. Captain Riggs, no doubt having a conniption. I should take this, I said, standing. Tharissa rose as well, towering over me. Of course, an attendant will show you to your quarters. We will dine together this evening, where you will be introduced to the court as my betrothed. Her lips curved into that almost smile again. Try not to mispronounce anything else, Ambassador. I'm not sure the galaxy could handle any more of your proposals. Was that a joke? Did the alien queen just make a joke? As I followed the attendant through the twisting corridors of the palace, Spark riding on my shoulder, I couldn't help but wonder what I'd gotten myself into. 3 months pretending to be engaged to the most powerful being in this sector of space. 3 months navigating alien politics, protocols, and plots. And judging by the venomous look the Prime Minister gave me as I passed him in the corridor, not everyone was happy about the arrangement. Captain Riggs' voice crackled through my communicator as soon as I entered my quarters, a luxurious suite bigger than my entire apartment back on Earth. Forrester, what in the name of all that's holy is happening down there? Our sensors detected a massive energy surge in the palace, and now we are getting chatter about a royal engagement. I took a deep breath. Sir, I may have accidentally proposed marriage to Queen Tharissa. Silence. Then say that again, but this time make it make sense. I mispronounced a word in the formal greeting. Instead of offering alliance, I offered marriage, and she accepted. Another long silence. Tell me this is a joke. I wish it was, sir. It gets worse. Apparently, there's some ancient prophecy about an outsider coming to unite with the royal bloodline. The Queen is using my blunder for political protection against a faction that wants to attack Earth. So you are engaged to an alien queen. For political reasons. For 90 days, sir, until the treaty is fully implemented. I could practically hear Riggs pinching the bridge of his nose. And if you back out, then we potentially trigger an interstellar war. Fantastic, he muttered. Just fantastic. So you were telling me our entire diplomatic mission now hinges on you playing the role of alien prince consort for 3 months? That's an accurate summary, yes. Spark chirped from my shoulder, as if laughing at my predicament. The Alliance is going to have a field day with this. Riggs groaned. All right, Forrester, you got us into this mess. Now it's your job to see it through. Do whatever is necessary to maintain this engagement while we figure out how to spin this diplomatically. Yes, sir. And Forrester, sir, try not to fall in love with her. That would complicate things even further. I laughed nervously. Not a chance, sir. But as I ended the call and caught my reflection in a mirror, looking small and decidedly unroyal in this alien palace, I couldn't help but wonder if I was in over my head. Because despite everything, there was something about Queen Tharissa that was undeniably captivating, and I had 90 days of pretending to be in love with her ahead of me. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out, being engaged to an alien queen involved a lot more pageantry than I expected. And danger. Did I mention the danger? Because there's plenty of that too. Stand still. Hissed Jorva, the royal tailor, as she circled me with measuring instruments that looked more suited for surgery than clothing design. How do humans manage anything with such awkward proportions? I bit back a retort. After 2 weeks in the Zynthian palace, I'd learned that responding to every backhanded comment would leave me with no time for anything else. Are all these ceremonial outfits really necessary? I asked instead, raising my arms as a hovering scanner traced my outline. Jorva's secondary eyes narrowed. The royal consort cannot attend official functions in whatever this is. She gestured dismissively at my alliance uniform. It's a diplomatic service uniform, and it's hideous, she interrupted, and unsuitable for one who would stand beside Queen Tharissa. I sighed. Spark, who rarely left my shoulder these days, chirped sympathetically. The last 14 days have been a crash course in Zynthian royal protocol. Every meal had 17 courses and required different utensils for each. Every conversation was layered with meanings I barely grasped. Every gesture I made was scrutinized by courtiers who clearly thought a human had no place in their palace. And then there were the assassination attempts. Just 3 more measurements, Jorva said, producing a tool that resembled a compass with teeth. For the formal bonding ceremony attire. The what now? The bonding ceremony. In 6 days' time. She looked at me like I was particularly dense. The official engagement announcement to the Empire. Fantastic. Another detail Tharissa had neglected to mention. We'd had precisely 3 private conversations since my accidental proposal, each briefer than the last. The Queen was constantly surrounded by advisors, petitioners, and guards, especially since the second assassination attempt. Oh yes, the assassination attempts. The first came 3 days after my arrival. Poison in my evening meal, detected by Spark's sudden agitation. The second was more direct. A ceremonial guard accidentally firing an energy weapon in my direction during a diplomatic reception. The third wasn't directed at me at all, but at Tharissa herself. A bomb in the royal transport that thankfully was discovered before detonation. Someone really didn't want this engagement to succeed. The Queen requested your presence in the Star Garden once you are finished here, said Jorva, finally putting away her tools. She has a gap in her schedule before the ambassadorial reception this evening. My pulse quickened. A chance to speak with Tharissa alone was rare. Thank you, I said, hurriedly pulling my uniform back on. I will head there now. In that, Jorva looked horrified. Yes, in this, I replied firmly. The new clothes aren't ready yet, are they? She muttered something that my translator politely declined to interpret. The Star Garden was Tharissa's private sanctuary, a domed enclosure atop the highest spire of the palace. Unlike the formal gardens elsewhere, this one was wild and seemingly unplanned, a riot of plants from a dozen worlds growing in harmonious chaos. The ceiling was transparent, offering an unobstructed view of Zynthia's 3 moons. Tharissa stood with her back to me, gazing upward. Without her formal regalia, she looked almost vulnerable, still impressively tall, but less untouchable goddess and more person. You wanted to see me? I asked, announcing my presence. She turned, and I was struck again by how her skin seemed to contain galaxies. Dax, thank you for coming. We'd progressed to first names in private, at least. Progress. Your tailor mentioned something about a bonding ceremony. Tharissa sighed, gesturing for me to join her. Another formality. I apologize for not warning you sooner. There simply hasn't been time. Between running an empire and dodging assassins? I imagine not. That earned me a smile, a real one, not the diplomatic mask she wore in public. Your species uses humor to defuse tension. Fascinating. We use humor for everything. It's kind of our thing. I moved to stand beside her, looking up at the moons. So what's a bonding ceremony entail? Should I be nervous? Moderately, she admitted. It's a public declaration of our intent to unite. There will be rituals, vows to be exchanged, symbolic gestures. How symbolic are we talking? Because if there's blood involved, nothing so primitive, she assured me. Though it does involve a minor psychic connection. I nearly choked. I'm sorry, what? A surface-level mental link, she explained, as casually as if discussing the weather. Temporary, of course. Just enough to demonstrate compatibility. Tharissa, humans don't have psychic abilities. We can't form mental links. She turned to face me fully. All sentient beings have some form of psychic potential. Yours is dormant, unexpressed. The ceremony simply awakens it briefly. That doesn't sound temporary. The awakening is permanent. The connection between us would fade after the ceremony. Great. Permanent psychique awakening. Just another day in the life of an accidental fiancé. And this is absolutely necessary. I asked if we are to maintain the legitimacy of our engagement. Yes. Her expression softened. I understand your concerns, Dax. This is all unconventional. But remember what's at stake. What was at stake had become increasingly clear over the past 2 weeks. The faction opposed to human alliance was larger and more influential than initial intelligence suggested. Prime Minister Kalrax was openly lobbying the council to reconsider the treaty, citing security concerns and cultural contamination. Our fake engagement was the only thing preventing diplomatic collapse and possibly war. All right, I conceded, but I want to know exactly what I'm getting into. No more surprises. Fair enough. Tharissa gestured to a living bench formed from intertwining vines. Seat. I will explain everything. As we sat, spark fluttered from my shoulder to a nearby, flowering plant, giving us a semblance of privacy. The ceremony has 3 phases, Tharissa began. First, the presentation, where we formally appear before the imperial court and announce our intent to bond. Second, the alignment, where the psychic connection is established. Third, the commitment, where we exchange vows. That doesn't sound too bad, I said cautiously. The challenge lies in the alignment. It requires absolute truth between participants. No deception can exist within the link. I frowned. But our entire engagement is a deception. Not entirely, she countered. Our stated purpose, to unite our peoples, is genuine. The personal aspect is exaggerated, yes. So we just focus on the political truth and ignore the personal fiction. Precisely. Her 4 eyes studied me intently. But there's a complication. The alignment will make you vulnerable to other psychic influences afterward. Until you learn to shield your mind, you will be an open book to any Zenthian with moderate psychic ability, like walking around with my thoughts broadcasting on all frequencies. Fantastic. I can teach you shielding techniques, she offered. It's not difficult once you understand the basics. Before I could respond, her communication device chimed. She glanced at it and sighed. The Procyon ambassador has arrived early. I must go. She rose in one fluid motion, then hesitated. Dax, there's something else you should know. Prime Minister Kalrax has called for a confidence vote in the council. My blood ran cold. Against you? Yes. If he succeeds, our engagement becomes meaningless. The treaty will be nullified, and all humans will be expelled from Zenthian space. When is the vote? The day after our bonding ceremony. The timing wasn't coincidental. Kalrax was making his move while we were distracted with ceremonial matters. What can I do to help? I asked, for the first time since I'd met her. Tharissa looked uncertain. I don't know. This is unprecedented territory for both of us. She reached out, her long fingers brushing my cheek in a gesture that felt surprisingly intimate. Be careful, Dax Forrester. Kalrax's agents are everywhere. And with that cryptic warning, she was gone, leaving me alone in the garden with my thoughts and one very curious Luminera who seemed to be giving me a judgmental look. Don't start, I told Spark. It's complicated. He chirped what sounded suspiciously like laughter. The ambassadorial reception that evening was a lavish affair held in the Grand Hall, a space so vast it had its own weather system. Literally, small clouds formed near the distant ceiling, occasionally producing light rain that evaporated before reaching the guests below. I stood awkwardly beside Tharissa's empty throne, dressed in what Jorva had deemed minimally acceptable attire. A sleek outfit of midnight blue that somehow managed to both conform to Zenthian aesthetics and flatter human physiology. Ambassador Forrester heard a voice to my left. Or should I say, royal consort? I turned to find Prime Minister Kalrax, resplendent in ceremonial armor that emphasized his impressive physique. Unlike most Xenthians whose skin tones ran toward blues and purples, Kalrax's had a reddish undertone that made him look perpetually angry. "Prime Minister," I acknowledged with a careful bow. "I'm not officially consort until after the bonding ceremony." "If it occurs," he said, sipping from a crystal goblet filled with luminescent liquid. "You sound doubtful." His secondary eyes narrowed slightly, a sign of amusement or contempt, I wasn't sure which. "Let's speak plainly, human. We both know this engagement is a political maneuver by a desperate queen." I maintained a neutral expression. "My feelings for Queen Tharissa are genuine." "Please," he scoffed. "You have known her for 2 weeks. And while Xenthians appreciate efficiency, even we don't form life bonds that quickly. Love works differently for humans." I lied smoothly. "When we know, we know." Kalrax leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "What if I told you there's another option? One that doesn't require you to tie yourself to a dying regime?" "I'd say that sounds like treason." "It's pragmatism," he countered. "Tharissa's rule is crumbling. The council sees it. The people see it. Only her inner circle remains blind. And you have a better vision for the empire?" "I have the only vision that ensures Xenthian survival. Isolation, strength, self-sufficiency. And what happens to Earth in this vision?" His smile showed too many teeth. "That depends on how cooperative humans prove to be. Starting with you." Before I could respond, a fanfare announced Tharissa's arrival. She entered through the main doors, a vision in silver and starlight, her living crown pulsing with soft blue energy. "Consider my offer," Kalrax murmured, stepping away. "Break the engagement before the bonding ceremony. Return to your ship. Leave Xenthian space. Your species might thank you for it someday." With that, he melted into the crowd of diplomats and courtiers. Tharissa ascended to her throne, nodding graciously to the assembled guests. When she reached me, her hand found mine in what looked like an affectionate gesture, but was actually a warning squeeze. "Kalrax approached you," she said, not a question. "He suggested I reconsider our engagement for the good of humanity." Her expression remained serene, though I felt her tension through our linked hands. "His agents report 23 Alliance vessels have entered the outer system." My heart skipped. "That's not possible. The Alliance wouldn't deploy without orders," she finished. "Or perhaps they received orders you're not aware of." The implications hit me like a physical blow. Either Alliance command was moving against the Xenthians without informing their on-site diplomatic team, or Kalrax was manufacturing evidence of aggression to justify his own military response. Either way, we were sliding toward conflict. "We need to contact Captain Riggs," I said urgently. "After the reception," she replied, smiling for the benefit of watching eyes. "For now, we play our parts." And play them we did. For 4 excruciating hours, we circulated among ambassadors from a dozen worlds, projecting the image of a deeply connected couple despite having barely spoken in days. Tharissa was masterful, dropping subtle touches and fond glances that even had me half convinced I did my best to reciprocate, drawing on acting skills I hadn't used since university theater productions. By the end of the evening, the court was buzzing with gossip about the Queen's obvious infatuation with her human betrothed. Tea wasn't until we escaped to a private antechamber that we could drop the pretense. "Your communication channel to the Horizon Dawn is secure?" Tharissa asked, instantly all business. "Yes, through my personal device. But if Kalrax is monitoring orbital communications, he is, which is why you will use this." She produced a small crystal from within her robes. A quantum-entangled transmitter. Undetectable, untraceable. I took it carefully. "Where did you get this?" "Alliance Intelligence has been trying to develop this technology for decades. We have had it for centuries," she said simply. "Contact your captain. Verify Kalrax's claims about fleet movements." I activated the crystal, which hummed softly as it linked with my communicator. Riggs answered almost immediately. "Forrester, where have you been? We have been trying to reach you for hours." "Communication blackout," I explained quickly. "What's happening up there?" "A whole lot of nothing until about 6 hours ago," he said grimly. Then we detected multiple hyperspace signatures entering the system. Alliance signature. My blood ran cold. How many ships? 23 and counting. Battle cruisers from the energy patterns. Exactly as Colrax had claimed. Have you made contact? Negative. They are maintaining communication silence. Something big is happening, Forrester, and we are out of the loop. I glanced at Tharissa, whose expression had darkened considerably. Stand by, Captain. I will contact you again soon. As I ended the transmission, Tharissa moved to a concealed panel in the wall, revealing a holographic display of the Xenthian system. Sure enough, a cluster of red markers approached from the outer planets. Your alliance has chosen its side, she said quietly. This doesn't make sense, I insisted. Earth wouldn't risk war with the Xenthian Empire. We are still recovering from the Procyon conflict, unless they believe they have an advantage. Her gaze was piercing, such as inside information from an agent embedded in the royal court. I stared at her in shock. You think I'm what? A spy? That this whole diplomatic mission is a cover for invasion. The thought has occurred to others, she said carefully. Colrax has been suggesting it to anyone who will listen. That's ridiculous. I'm a linguist, not a military strategist. And I have spent the last 2 weeks under constant surveillance in this palace. I know, she said, her voice softening. If I believed you were an agent, you would have been executed after the first assassination attempt. That wasn't particularly comforting. Then what's happening? I demanded. I believe Colrax has engineered this crisis. She manipulated the hologram, zooming in on the approaching fleet. These energy signatures, they are perfect. Too perfect. Meaning they match our records exactly. As if someone copied our data on Alliance vessels and projected it into our sensor network. I caught on quickly. A false flag operation. Make it look like Earth is mobilizing for war. So the Council will vote to strike first, she finished, and support Colrax's motion of no confidence against me. We need proof. We need time, she corrected. The bonding ceremony must proceed as planned. It will buy us the 3 days we need to expose Colrax's deception. And if we can't, her 4 eyes met mine with grim determination. Then we may be the only thing standing between our worlds and war. The next few days passed in a blur of preparations, both for the ceremony and for our covert investigation. Tharissa provided me with access to secure communications and intelligence resources. I reached out to contacts in Alliance intelligence, trying to determine if the fleet movements were real or fabricated. The evidence was contradictory. Official channels denied any unauthorized deployment, yet reliable sources confirmed unusual activity at several Alliance shipyards. Something was happening, but no one seemed to know exactly what. Meanwhile, the palace buzzed with anticipation for the bonding ceremony. According to Jorva, who had become something of an ally despite her perpetual exasperation with human physiology, it was the most significant royal event in decades. The last royal bonding was Queen Tharissa's parents. Over a century ago, she explained while making final adjustments to my ceremonial attire. Many feared she would never choose a consort. Lucky me, I muttered, trying not to wince as she pinned something sharp uncomfortably close to sensitive areas. Indeed, she said, with what might have been genuine feeling. The Queen has never shown interest in political unions before. Your species must have some redeeming qualities after all. High praise from a Xenthian. The night before the ceremony, I couldn't sleep. My quarters felt too large, too empty, too alien. Spark sensed my unease, chirping softly from his perch near my bed. I know, buddy, I sighed. Everything's about to change. A soft chime indicated someone at my door. Curious and slightly wary. It was well past midnight in the palace's cycle. I approached cautiously. Who is it? It's me, came Tharissa's voice. Unusually subdued, did I open the door to find the Queen of the Xenthian Empire standing alone in the corridor, wearing simple robes rather than her usual elaborate attire. Without her crown and royal trappings, she looked younger, almost vulnerable. Is everything all right? I asked, stepping aside to let her enter. No, she admitted, moving past me into the room. Nothing is all right, Dax. I closed the door, concern mounting. What's happened? The council session today. Colrax presented evidence that the approaching Alliance fleet has deployed planet-killer weapons. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. Earth dismantled all Omega-class weapons after the Procyon Treaty. I know, she said, sinking gracefully onto a chair. But the evidence was convincing. Sensor readings, communications intercepts, testimony from reliable sources. Fabricated, I insisted. Almost certainly, but effective. The Council is frightened. The vote tomorrow. She didn't need to finish. We both knew what would happen. So we proceed with the ceremony, I said. Show a united front. It may not be enough. For the first time since I'd met her, Tharissa looked defeated. Colrax controls too many votes. And now he has manufactured an external threat to solidify his support. There has to be something we can do. She was silent for a long moment, her gaze distant. Then, there is one option, but it would require sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? A real bonding, she said quietly. Not the ceremonial version we planned. A true, permanent mental link. Here. I thought that wasn't possible between different species. It's never been attempted, she corrected. But our biological differences are superficial. Consciousness transcends physical form. And this would help how exactly? A true bonding cannot be challenged under Zenthian law. It would supersede the Council's authority, even a vote of no confidence. And it would give us access to the full resources of the Royal Guard. Loyal to the Crown, not the government. So we could expose Colrax's deception. Yes, the implications were staggering. A permanent psychic link with an alien queen. No more privacy, no more solitude in my own mind. And what would happen when our 3-month arrangement ended? As if reading my thoughts, perhaps she was, Tharissa added softly, I would not suggest this if I saw any other path. The bonding is intimate, irreversible. It would change us both. I paced the room, mind racing. If Colrax succeeds tomorrow, what happens? Best case, all humans expelled from Zenthian space, the treaty nullified, diplomatic relations severed. Worst case, he launches a preemptive strike against what he claims is an incoming Alliance invasion fleet, starting a war based on false intelligence. Yes, I stopped pacing. And this true bonding, it would prevent that. It would give us time and authority to prove Colrax's deception. Whether that's enough? She left the sentence unfinished, but I understood. There were no guarantees. Spark fluttered from his perch to land on my shoulder, chirping softly in my ear. Strange how I'd come to find comfort in this alien creature's presence. How would it work? I finally asked. Relief flickered across Tharissa's features. Similar to the ceremonial version, but deeper, more complete. We would share consciousness, not just surface thoughts. Would I still be me? Yes, she assured me. The bonding merges minds, but preserves individual identity. Think of it as gaining another perspective rather than losing your own. I took a deep breath. All right, let's do it. She rose, moving toward me with unexpected hesitation. For all her power and authority, in this moment, she seemed almost shy. There's one more thing you should know, Dax. What's that? A true bonding. It cannot exist without genuine connection. Affection, at minimum. In ancient times, it was exclusively between those who loved each other. Oh, and you think we have that? I asked, suddenly very aware of her proximity. I think, she said carefully, that these past weeks have created something neither of us anticipated. Her hand rose to my face, fingers cool against my skin. Do you deny it? Did I? The past 3 weeks have been chaotic, dangerous, exhausting, but also exhilarating. Working with Tharissa, learning about her world, seeing beyond the mask of the queen to the person beneath, it had affected me in ways I hadn't fully acknowledged. No, I admitted. I don't deny it. Her lips curved into a genuine smile. Rare and all the more beautiful for it. Then we have what we need. She guided me to sit on the edge of the bed, then knelt before me, a queen on her knees, an image that felt somehow blasphemous. Taking my hands in hers, she looked deeply into my eyes. Open your mind to me, Dax Forrester. Think of it as removing a barrier between us. Let me in. I closed my eyes, tried to imagine what she described. A wall crumbling, a door opening, a veil lifting. Nothing happened. I don't think it's working, I murmured. Don't try to force it, she said gently. Just trust. Trust. Such a simple word for such a monumental concept that I took a deep breath and focused on Tharissa, not the queen, but the woman. Her unexpected kindness, her sharp intelligence, her dry humor that emerged in rare private moments. The way she carried the weight of an empire with grace. How she fought for peace despite forces pulling toward war. Something shifted in my mind. A sensation like ice melting, or perhaps like falling. Then Dax, her voice but not in my ears, in my mind. And with it came everything. Her thoughts, memories, feelings flowing into me like a river. I gasped at the intensity, the sheer alienness of experiencing another's consciousness, and not just any consciousness. A Xinthian mind was vast, multi-layered, processing multiple thoughts simultaneously. I saw her childhood on distant moons, felt the crushing responsibility of ascending to the throne of what humans would consider adolescence, experienced her centuries of life compressed into moments. Most shockingly, I felt her feelings toward me. Curiosity, respect, growing affection, and something deeper that defied easy categorization. I feel you too, she thought, wonder coloring her mental voice. So vibrant, so linear, yet recursive. Fascinating that IT was the strangest, most intimate experience of my life. Not sexual, but something beyond physical. A connection that made physical intimacy seem superficial by comparison. Then, gradually, the flood of information settled into a manageable stream. Her consciousness remained alongside mine, but distinct. Present but not overwhelming, that I opened my eyes to find her staring at me with an expression of amazement. It worked, she whispered aloud, though I could feel the words forming in her mind before she spoke them. A true bonding between species. The first in recorded history. I felt her elation, her relief, her lingering concern about what came next. And beneath it all, a steely determination that gave me hope. What now? I asked, though I could sense the answer forming in her thoughts. Now, she said, rising to her feet and extending her hand to me, we face the council together, as true bondmates, united in purpose and mind. I took her hand, feeling the strange double sensation of both giving and receiving touch. And then, her smile held equal parts determination and affection. Then we save our worlds from those who would drive them to war. As I stood beside her, my accidental fiancé turned genuine bondmate. I felt our shared resolve crystallize into something powerful. Whatever came next, we would face it together. Not bad for a linguistic specialist who just wanted to deliver a diplomatic greeting.